Bienvenidos a Telesemana. Ahora sí que ha empezado el Mobile World Congress 2011 y estamos ya con la primera empresa que nos viene a visitar en el día de hoy, una de las muchas que van a estar participando en nuestra cobertura. Estamos con Dupper, que es el CEO y presidente de una empresa que se llama Evolving Systems. Y la idea con Zad, que nos va a hablar en inglés, es que nos cuente un poco, primero, quién es Evolving Systems, para que todos ustedes sepan qué hace la compañía. Y después vamos a estar haciendo algunas preguntas sobre su mercado y su segmento de mercado para entender mejor cuál es la dinámica en su segmento, ¿no? Y así podamos tener todos una mejor idea. Zad, bienvenido a Telesemana.
Well, buenos días.
Bueno, Zad, tell us first off for our audience what Evolving System does, what is your core competency, and if you can, what are your main competitive drivers in this, crazy atmosphere?
Well, Evolving Systems, we've been in business for 25 years. Our core competencies really evolve around management and activation of SIM cards for mobile carriers. We also have an expertise in service activation and number management. And today we're announcing a new product that allows wireless carriers to manage their connected devices, M2M devices, in an innovative new fashion.
Okay. Well, we've heard in the past things like over-the-air synchronization, over-the-air manipulation of the devices, over-the-air this, over-the-air that. But then when it comes to, at least on my end, and I'm pretty sure many of the users, when it comes to the OTA market, you don't find many people having a phone that's been touched or manipulated by somebody remotely to configure an email account, for example. So tell us, if this perception is true and if there's something changing that might change that perception.
Well, the industry is evolving rapidly. And what we're seeing is, in addition to carriers wanting to provide flexible experience for their end users, their wireless end users, they're also moving into the mobile broadband arena. So you see more and more users today putting air cards in their netbooks, their laptops. And what we're finding is the experience associated with the activation of those air cards is something that Evolving Systems can help carriers with. And not just the air cards, but the SIM card in general. So we've been very successful, especially in Latin America, in cada, selling our dynamic SIM allocation product to allow GSM providers to manage their supply chain around SIM cards so that they can order, manage, and activate the SIM cards in a new manner. And in addition to that, we allow carriers to provide their end users with number selection at the time of activation. So in the old days, for example, you would buy a SIM card and the SIM card had the number imprinted on the SIM. And there was no ability to choose a number. Now with Evolving Systems DSA product, you put the SIM in. It could be dynamically configured to be a prepaid SIM, postpaid SIM, even a fixed wireless SIM.
Can that be that configuration change over time?
So one of the benefits on the supply chain side of the network is you order a universal SIM now, and you can dynamically configure that SIM to support your product portfolio. Prepaid, postpaid, fixed wireless, even an air card. So you put that in, and now that we're dynamically configuring the SIM at time at first use, we can go further now and add the capability to allow the subscriber to select a number. And very important, and muy importante, in the market to allow subscribers to choose their own number. And we're seeing that as a competitive differentiator for carriers who can allow their subscribers to select a number from a list, as opposed to having the static rigid number.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the figures. I mean, because obviously our audience, the operators, always are thinking about the figures, and more probably you've seen that in Latin America. Cost. What's the cost? And what's the benefit? How much do I save by providing these kind of features to the user? And how long will it take me to recoup what I'm investing in Evolving Systems? So give us a glimpse on that situation.
Well, it's a very competitive market, especially down in Latin America. We found that most of our carriers are driving to a one-year return on investment when they select a product. What our products do is allow the carriers to take cost out of their supply chain, but also generate incremental revenue on the sales side. So we think we have a value proposition that attaches and addresses both sides of the carrier, lowering costs and increasing revenue. So for example, again, this number selection, we can allow a carrier to monetize their number inventory so that they can charge for numbers where before the inventory was really not a revenue generator. We've seen with one of our carriers that 50% of the SIM cards activated now have customers selecting a number, and they're charging on average 15 cents per number selection. So they're generating revenue increase on number selection. At the same time, they're taking cost out of their operation by simplifying the supply chain associated with the order, management, and distribution of the SIM cards.
Okay. Now let's go about, let's leave the business model for the operators in terms of buying evolving systems. And let's discuss a little bit, there used to be, or there is this kind of word or sentence in the market saying that the first hour of activation is crucial.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm assuming that if we went 5 years backwards in time, we will find that the first 5 hours were critical. Tell us why the first hour is critical, and if we are going to see a decrease in that time in terms of being important, the first 10 minutes of activation, before activation.
Well, you're absolutely right. And what we've seen is the activation timeframes are shortening tremendously. So more likely than not, by the time you put the SIM card in, you reach radio coverage, you should be into your activation process, and that should lead to a fully successful activation within a matter of seconds. The idea of waiting hours is just a thing of the past. So increasingly, carriers around the world, todos los mundo, are activating services in a very rapid fashion. And that's just a competitive table stake nowadays.
Okay, so you're seeing that in Latin America, that operators are demanding this type of...
Well, actually, one of the things we've seen in Latin America is the carriers want to flood the market with their SIM cards. More SIMs that they can put into the channel, muy importante. So what we're saying is put more and more SIMs out in the market, but don't incur the cost associated with putting a SIM in the market. And what we mean by that is we won't activate that SIM until it's a revenue-producing SIM. So the carrier can put 10, 15, 25 million SIMs in the market, but those SIMs don't start to incur the cost of a network number, an IMSI, a MISDN in our technical terms, until the SIM is sold and activated. And that experience should be very, very fast once the SIM is put into the phone.
Okay. And final question to end this. Is part of the integration of your system with an operator with whom you haven't worked in the past, and you find systems already in place, whatever systems they have, and you have to integrate whatever servers you are putting on the network, from the green light, the signature of the contract with the operator, to the time they can operate evolving systems products? How long will it take?
Well, it's a very good question, and the integration into the existing back office of the carrier does take some time. I would say in a fast implementation, 3 meses, 3 months.
3 months?
Pero could be 9 meses. It could be 9 months for a more complicated.
The complication arises from the fact that the operator is older and has more systems that has been patching in, or with a newer operator that's simpler because they have fresher network, so to speak.
We've had both.
Okay.
And you know, oftentimes we'll be putting in our SIM solution while the carrier is upgrading or implementing a new CRM system. So I would say on average 3 to 9 months is typical for an integration. It's complex software, it's doing a lot of functionality, but in general 3 to 9 months seems to be the time, and our customers seem very pleased with that.
Okay, I know I'm being saying all the time that this is the last question, and actually it's not the last question, so this is the last question, I promise. So the last question would be in terms of your partners. Are you working with any partners in Latin America, or are you, when you said that when they install the CRM, is there any particular companies with whom you feel more comfortable going in and say, okay, you're putting this CRM, this suits perfectly with our solution?
Well, we have a number of partners. Lately we've been working with a lot of the SIM partners. So Obither, Gemalto are partners of ours, but we've also worked with Accenture and IBM, Siemens, Nokia. Oftentimes we're seeing a trend in the industry where carriers are outsourcing the management of their IT systems in their network to an integrator like IBM Global Solutions. So oftentimes when we transact business, you'll be transacting business with the carrier and also with his systems integrator. So it's very common. Okay. It's muy importante.
Muy importante.
Sí.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
stopping by our booth.
Very enjoyable.